Most modern homes are engineered for comfort, convenience, and curb appeal, not for any kind of sustained emergency. The features that make a house pleasant to live in during normal times are frequently the same features that become liabilities the moment essential services stop working. These are the 15 useless home features that will get you killed when the collapse happens. Number 15, all-electric everything. Electric-only homes with electric stoves, electric water heaters, electric HVAC, and no wood-burning alternative are among the most vulnerable residential configurations in any extended grid-down scenario. When the power goes out for more than 72 hours, which has happened repeatedly in documented disasters, including the 2021 Texas winter storm, which left approximately 4.5 million households without power for days and caused over 200 deaths directly or indirectly related to the cold, an all-electric home becomes a progressively dangerous environment. The Texas event is worth dwelling on because it illustrated every failure point simultaneously. Electric heating stopped. Electric water heaters stopped providing hot water. Pipes froze because the house had no independent heat source. Electric stoves could not cook food. The people who survived the worst of it were disproportionately those with gas appliances, wood stoves, or generators. The redundant systems that had seemed unnecessary when the grid was working, a home with at least one non-electric cooking method, a propane camp stove and fuel stored safely, a wood-burning fireplace, a gas range, and at least one non-electric heat source dramatically increases survivability in a grid-down scenario. The fix does not require rebuilding the house. A propane camp stove with 20 pounds of stored propane, acquired before a crisis, costs $60 to $120. The Texas grid failure deaths cost considerably more than that. Before we continue, I prepared a step-by-step ebook that's currently on sale, packed with practical survival systems and simple life hacks. It's designed to help you save money, stay prepared, and improve everyday safety in a simple, realistic way. You can access it instantly while the discounted price is still available. You can find the link in the description. Now let's get back to the video. Number 14, sump pump dependent basement without battery backup. A basement that relies entirely on an electric sump pump to stay dry is a basement that floods during the exact conditions most likely to cause a power outage: major storms and flooding. The correlation is not accidental. The heavy rainfall events that generate basement water infiltration are the same events that knock down power lines, overwhelm utility infrastructure, and cause extended grid failures. A primary electric sump pump without a battery backup or water-powered backup system will fail when it is needed most. A basement flood during a prolonged power outage creates mold, structural damage to the home's foundation and framing, and the loss of stored supplies, food, and equipment stored below grade. Precisely the things most people store in basements because they're safe down there. The solutions are specific. A battery backup sump pump system, a secondary pump powered by a marine battery that activates when the primary pump fails or when power is lost, costs $300 to $600 installed and provides 24 to 48 hours of continuous operation on a single battery charge. A water-powered backup sump, which uses municipal water pressure to create suction and requires no battery, costs $100 to $200, but requires functioning municipal water pressure to work, making it useful for power outages, but not for water main disruptions. Basements should also not be the primary storage location for anything irreplaceable or critical for emergency use, precisely because of this vulnerability. Number 13, all-glass exterior doors. Glass-paneled front doors, the kind with full-length glass side lights running the height of the door frame, or decorative glass insets occupying 50 to 70% of the door's surface area, are among the most popular features in residential architecture right now. Walk through any suburban development, and the glass-heavy front entry is a standard design choice because it creates a welcoming first impression, allows natural light into the foyer, and reads as open and modern. It is also, from a security standpoint, a decision that places a breakable material immediately adjacent to the lock. A standard glass sidelight or decorative door panel can be broken with a single sharp object in under 3 seconds. Within arm's reach of most broken door glass panels is the interior thumb turn of the deadbolt. The lock that looks substantial from the street requires the intruder to break glass and reach through to turn a lever, a 5-second operation. The ANSI/BHMA security ratings on the deadbolt itself are irrelevant when the glass next to it is the actual point of entry. In normal times, this design trade-off is generally acceptable because residential crimes of opportunity are deterred by noise, visibility, and the availability of easier targets. In any scenario involving reduced emergency response, degraded social order, or a sustained emergency period, a home with glass-adjacent door locks has effectively no deadbolt security, only glass security, which is no security at all. The improvement options. 3M Safety Series window film applied to existing glass panels changes the way glass breaks. Instead of shattering into openable shards, it tears and deforms, requiring 60 to 90 additional seconds of effort to create an entry opening, which is a meaningful deterrence increase. A full door replacement using a steel core solid door with no adjacent glass and a reinforced strike plate with 3-inch screws into the framing, not just the door frame, converts a decorative entry into a functional one. Budget $400 to $1,200 for door replacement, or $50 to $200 for film application. Number 12, decorative fencing without security function. Decorative aluminum fencing, ornamental iron with large pickets, low wooden privacy fencing, and white vinyl picket fences all share a property. They don't actually slow down anyone who decides to cross them. A standard 4-foot decorative fence is a visual property boundary that takes approximately 2 seconds for any adult to step over, climb, or push through. It communicates, "This is mine," during normal times. It communicates nothing to anyone who isn't inclined to observe property lines voluntarily. Security fencing is categorically different. Chain link at 6 feet height with adequate post support slows penetration, is difficult to climb quickly under pressure, and can be augmented with security toppers. Solid wood privacy fencing at 6 feet with reinforced posts provides visual concealment combined with physical deterrence. A properly constructed wrought iron fence with anti-climb toppers at 6 to 8 feet provides substantial deterrence. The point is not to create an impenetrable fortress. That doesn't exist in residential architecture. The point is to add meaningful friction to unauthorized entry that makes the home less attractive as a target compared to easier options nearby. In any scenario where social order has degraded, ease of access is the primary variable that determines which homes are approached and which are passed. A decorative fence tells a potential intruder that the owner prioritizes aesthetics. A security-oriented fence communicates something different. Number 11, smart home systems dependent on cloud services. Smart home systems, smart locks, smart lighting, smart thermostats, video doorbells, smart security cameras on cloud-based recording are marketed to consumers as home security upgrades and in normal operating conditions. Many of them do provide genuine monitoring capability, remote access convenience, and deterrence value. In any scenario involving extended grid failure, sustained internet disruption, or service provider outage, they become expensive decorative objects at best and active security vulnerabilities at worst. A Nest thermostat without power and internet is a thermostat that doesn't work. A Ring doorbell with a dead battery and no Wi-Fi is a camera that records nothing and notifies nobody. A smart light bulb that requires app connectivity to turn on is just a bulb that doesn't work until the app connects. These failures are inconveniences during brief outages and genuine problems during sustained ones. The critical security failure point is smart locks specifically. Several documented cases and manufacturer-acknowledged failure modes have involved smart locks defaulting to unlocked states during power failures or firmware update failures, leaving homes unsecured without the homeowner's knowledge until they try to manually engage the lock and discover it won't respond. The August lock, Yale Assure, Schlage Encode, and similar products have specific power fail behaviors that vary by model and configuration and are not prominently documented in marketing materials. A lock that silently unlocks itself when the power fails is worse than no lock. The deeper problem is dependency on infrastructure the homeowner does not control. The internet service provider, the smart home platform's server infrastructure, the manufacturer's cloud service that the device requires to function. Devices that depend on external services for core security functions can be rendered non-functional by outages, service changes, or company shutdowns the homeowner has no influence over. A traditional keyed deadbolt with a reinforced strike plate works indefinitely with no power, no internet, no cloud service, and no app. It cannot be compromised by a server failure. Number 10. A house with no alternative water source. Municipal water systems require pumping stations that consume electricity continuously to maintain the pressure that delivers water to homes. Extended power grid failures cause water pressure to drop within hours as storage tanks drain without replenishment and eventually fail, and the water that remains in household pipes and local storage tanks can become contaminated as the system loses the pressure integrity that prevents backflow. The 2021 Texas winter storm caused water system failures affecting over 12 million Texans. People who had power restored but still had no safe running water for days to over a week afterward. Some boiling water advisories lasting weeks in some districts. This is not an edge case. It is the documented, repeated pattern of infrastructure failure during extended grid emergencies. Water systems fail when power fails. Period. A home with no independent water source, no rain collection system, no well, no significant stored supply, is entirely dependent on a utility system with demonstrated multiple point failure. The fix involves layered approaches because no single backup covers every scenario. Rain collection, using roof gutters routed to food-grade storage barrels or tanks, is the lowest cost entry point for water independence. A 1,000 square foot roof in an area receiving 1 inch of rainfall captures approximately 620 gallons of collectible water, enough to supply a family of 4 for over a month at minimum consumption rates. The legal status of rainwater collection varies by state. Most states now permit it, though some Western states, Colorado, Nevada, and others, had historical restrictions that have been partially relaxed, with Colorado allowing up to 110 gallons of residential collection as of 2016 legislation. A manual hand pump installed on an existing well, 2 weeks of stored water in food-grade containers, and the knowledge of how to treat uncertain water sources with boiling, chemical treatment, and filtration creates meaningful water independence for most realistic emergency scenarios. Number 9. No backup lighting beyond phones. The phone flashlight is the de facto emergency lighting solution in most households because almost nobody has given serious thought to light when the power is out. This works adequately for a 2-hour power outage in a storm. For 3 days, a week, or longer, it becomes a choice between having light and having communication. A serious backup lighting plan requires lighting sources that don't drain the communication and navigation device everyone is dependent on. The hierarchy of solutions. LED lanterns with AA or D batteries and a supply of quality batteries. Lithium batteries hold charge in cold storage for 10 to 20 years. Rechargeable headlamps that can be charged by solar or power bank, candles in appropriate holders, fire safe, and oil lamps with stored lamp oil. Solar-powered garden lights, the stake-mounted kind sold for pathway lighting, can be brought indoors after charging during the day and used for low-level interior lighting. They provide approximately 4 to 8 hours of light per charge. A dozen of these acquired for $2 to $5 each represent a surprisingly functional emergency lighting solution that recharges daily with no battery purchases required. A headlamp for each household member is the single most practical improvement. Hands-free light for working, cooking, and navigating is significantly more functional than a handheld flashlight for most emergency tasks. A quality headlamp with extra batteries in the emergency kit costs $20 to $40 per person and lasts for years. Number 8. Attached garage as primary entry point. The attached garage represents the most common residential security vulnerability that nobody talks about, because in normal times, the garage door opener is purely a convenience feature rather than a security concern. In any scenario where electricity is unavailable, most automatic garage doors fail in place, locked in position, but opened easily using the manual emergency release cord that hangs from the carriage rail. The emergency release mechanism The red cord that allows the door to be manually opened is required by building codes as a safety feature and is present on virtually every residential garage door opener installation. From inside the garage, it is immediately accessible. From outside the garage, a technique using a wire hook passed through the weather stripping at the top of the door. Demonstrated in numerous security videos and known to anyone who has researched residential vulnerability, can pull the emergency release cord from outside in under 30 seconds, bypassing the garage door lock entirely. With the garage door open, a standard interior garage-to-house door is typically a hollow core door with a basic passage lock, not a deadbolt, no reinforced strike plate, that can be defeated easily. The fix is straightforward. Zip tie or cable lock the emergency release cord so it cannot be pulled without cutting the restraint. Add a deadbolt to the interior garage-to-house door and treat the garage itself as a security boundary rather than a convenience entry point. Number 7. Landscaping that creates concealment for intruders. Dense foundation plantings, the overgrown boxwood hedges, arborvitae screens along fences, large shrubs flanking windows and doors that are intended to create privacy and curb appeal simultaneously create hiding positions for anyone who wants to approach the house undetected from the street. The CPTED principle, crime prevention through environmental design, was developed by criminologist C. Ray Jeffrey in 1971 and has been studied and applied in residential, commercial, and urban design for decades. One of its primary tenets is natural surveillance, maintaining clear sightlines from the street to entry points, removing concealment opportunities near windows and doors, and using landscaping that provides visible territorial definition without providing hiding positions. Foundation plantings should be maintained at a height that keeps them below window sills, typically 2 to 3 feet maximum, so that anyone behind them is visible from the street or from inside the house. Thorny plants, roses, hawthorn, barberry, along fence lines and under windows provide passive deterrence. They are painful to push through and leave evidence, torn clothing, scratches, on anyone who does. Lighting matters in this context. Motion-activated floodlights that eliminate shadow zones near entry points significantly reduce the value of concealing vegetation by ensuring that anyone who gets past the plants is immediately illuminated. Number 6. Open plan layouts with no internal defensive positions. Open plan architecture, great rooms that combine kitchen, dining, and living space in a single large area with minimal interior walls, is the dominant residential design trend of the past 20 years. It photographs well, feels spacious, facilitates family interaction, and eliminates any interior structure that would allow a person to take cover from a threat or establish a defensible position within the home. This is not an argument against open-plan living. It is an observation that open-plan homes require their occupants to think differently about where they would be if someone entered the house with hostile intent, because the architectural answer is somewhere in a large exposed room with clear sightlines from every entry point. Homes with a designated safe room, a reinforced interior room with a solid core door, a deadbolt lockable from inside, and communication capability dramatically increase the defensive options available to the occupants. FEMA has published guidelines for safe room construction, including specifications for tornado-rated and blast-resistant rooms, but even a non-reinforced master bedroom with a deadbolt-equipped door provides meaningful protection against most residential threats. The master bedroom is the most common de facto safe room in residential homes. It typically has a door, is at the end of a hallway, and is far enough from entry points to provide reaction time. Adding a deadbolt to the bedroom door, a $30 to $60 hardware addition, converts a normal bedroom into a viable shelter-in-place option. Number 5. No backup heating for cold climates. In any region that experiences winter temperatures below freezing, a home with a single heating system and no backup is one furnace failure away from becoming a dangerous environment. And in an extended grid failure, the furnace will fail. This is not a theoretical concern. It is the lesson of every significant cold weather emergency in the documented record. The 2021 Texas storm killed approximately 246 people, with hypothermia and cold exposure cited in many deaths. The January 1998 North American ice storm left approximately 3 million people in Quebec, Ontario, and the northeastern United States without power for up to 5 weeks in January temperatures. The February 2021 winter storm that preceded the Texas event also affected large portions of the central and southern United States. Backup heating options range dramatically in cost and capability. A wood-burning insert for an existing fireplace, $1,500 to $3,500 installed, provides genuine whole-room heat from a renewable fuel source and adds resale value. A properly installed wood stove in a central location heats a significant floor area. Propane heaters rated for indoor use with ventilation, Mr. Heater Buddy, Dynaglow, and similar, are effective for single-room heating from a stored propane supply. The critical points: any combustion-based indoor heating source requires adequate ventilation to prevent carbon monoxide accumulation. CO poisoning kills approximately 400 Americans annually in non-fire incidents and is the primary cause of death in people using inappropriate heating sources during power outages, generators, grills, and unventilated combustion devices in enclosed spaces. A battery-powered CO detector is as essential as the heating source itself. Number 4. Large windows at ground level without reinforcement. Full-length ground floor windows, floor-to-ceiling glass panels, picture windows spanning most of a wall's width, sliding glass doors, are architectural features that residential buyers pay premiums for. They provide natural light, visual connection to outdoor space, and a subjective sense of living space extending beyond the walls. They also place large, easily breached glass panels at ground level in every room where they're installed. A standard residential window can be broken with a brick, a rock, or a heavy object in under 3 seconds. A sliding glass door can be lifted off its track in many installations without breaking the glass at all. The locks on sliding glass doors are typically among the weakest entry security elements in a residential building. Window security film, 3M Safety Series or similar products, does not prevent glass from being broken, but substantially changes the way glass fails. Rather than shattering, film reinforced glass tears and deforms, requiring significantly more force and time to create an opening large enough to enter through. This translates to approximately 60 to 90 additional seconds of penetration resistance. Not impenetrable, but enough to trigger hesitation and visible effort that deterrence depends on. Additional sliding door security, a cut-down wooden dowel or metal bar in the door track prevents the door from sliding even if the lock is defeated, and a foot bolt lock at the bottom of the door prevents the lift-off track technique. These are $10 to $30 improvements that convert a soft entry point into a meaningfully harder one. Number 3. Electric gate or driveway access system. Electric gate systems, whether sliding, swing, or barrier arm configurations, are perceived as security upgrades, and in normal operating conditions they are. They control vehicle and pedestrian access. They log entry activity, and they project an image of a secured property that has value as a deterrent. In a power failure, an electric gate that is not equipped with adequate manual override or battery backup immediately becomes an infrastructure problem rather than a security asset. Many residential electric gates are installed with manual override that requires a key and a specific technique to operate. A technique that the homeowner may have been shown once during installation and has not practiced since. In an emergency, the gate that was supposed to protect the property now prevents the owner from easily exiting or entering while providing no actual barrier. Most residential gates can be lifted, forced, or driven through at low speed. During normal emergency response situations, house fires, medical emergencies, electric gates have been documented delaying first responders. A 2019 study in pre-hospital emergency care documented that residential gate access was associated with measurable delays in EMS arrival times when gate codes or key access was required. A well-considered gate installation includes battery backup adequate for several hundred cycles of operation, a manual override that the homeowner can operate without tools in under 60 seconds, a fail-open configuration that defaults to open on power failure, appropriate for emergency access, and a protocol known to all household members. A gate that imprisons its owners is not a security feature. Number 2, no fire suppression capability beyond a smoke alarm. Smoke alarms save lives. The data on this is unambiguous. The NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, documents consistently show that death rates in home fires are more than twice as high in homes without working smoke alarms compared to homes with them. Smoke alarms are the minimum. They are also the only fire safety equipment in most homes. In any scenario where municipal fire services have degraded response times, a major disaster, a grid failure affecting dispatch systems, a scenario involving multiple simultaneous fires taxing available resources, the smoke alarm that correctly identifies a fire 60 seconds earlier provides no additional value if no one in the house can do anything about the fire before it reaches a point of no control. A residential fire doubles in size approximately every 30 to 60 seconds in its early stages before flashover. The first 2 to 3 minutes of a developing fire is the window in which a functional fire extinguisher used by a trained person can suppress or contain a fire. After flashover, standard extinguishers are ineffective and evacuation is the only option. Every home should have at minimum one ABC-rated fire extinguisher per floor, accessible and inspected annually. The 2.5-pound ABC extinguishers are adequate for contained small fires. The 5-pound or 10-pound units provide more agent for larger fires or multiple discharge situations. The cost is $30 to $80. Training in how to use them, the pass technique, pull, aim, squeeze, sweep, takes about 15 minutes to learn adequately and dramatically increases effectiveness under stress. As NFPA educator Lorraine Carley has noted, a working fire extinguisher in trained hands can mean the difference between a controlled incident and a house fire. Most people have never used one. That 15 minutes of training might be the most important home safety investment available for the cost. Number 1. A location that has no defensible perimeter and no awareness of approach routes. This is the most fundamental issue on the list, and the one that cannot be addressed by retrofitting or purchasing anything. A home's location and layout either support situational awareness and defensible approach management, or they don't. A home at the end of a long driveway with clear sightlines in all directions and natural barriers on the flanks has inherent positional advantages. A home on a cul-de-sac with one entry-exit route has a different set of advantages and vulnerabilities. A home on a busy thoroughfare with multiple adjacent properties and no visual separation from street-level approach has very limited natural perimeter control. Situational awareness, knowing who approaches your property, from which direction, and with how much warning time, is the first-line defense in any scenario where conventional emergency services are unavailable. This requires understanding the approach routes to your property and establishing reliable ways to monitor them. Motion-activated lights and cameras on all approach routes. Dogs, genuinely the most reliable early warning system for approach detection that doesn't require power or connectivity. And the simple practice of knowing what sounds, lights, and patterns are normal for your specific location. Dogs are consistently cited by security professionals as one of the most effective deterrents in residential security. Not attack-trained dogs, simply alert dogs that bark reliably at approach. A 2003 survey of convicted burglars, published in the Charlotte Observer, found that the presence of a dog was one of the top deterrents that caused burglars to choose a different target. The dog's primary value is early warning and deterrence, not force. The homes that fare worst in any serious disruption scenario are those whose occupants have no awareness of what's happening outside until it's already inside. The architecture, landscaping, lighting, and approach monitoring that create early warning time are what convert a surprised victim into someone who had time to respond. That time is the only truly irreplaceable resource in a crisis. 15 features. Some expensive to address, most inexpensive, a few requiring nothing more than a change in how a home is thought about and used. The common thread, features designed for normal times, become liabilities in abnormal ones, and the gap between a comfortable home and a survivable one is often smaller than the gap between thinking about it and not thinking about it. Most of these have specific concrete fixes available right now, at price points that range from $15 to $3,000. The ones that can be fixed should be fixed before they matter. That is what preparedness actually means, not buying gear to feel safer, but making specific changes that make actual situations safer. These are the 15 useless home features that will get you killed when the collapse happens. And most of them are fixable before anything does. Hit that like button and subscribe. More content like this coming.